Have you ever really stopped to think about the invisible magic that makes modern travel work? We tap a few buttons on an app, and poof, a whole trip spanning continents just happens. Well, today, we're going to pull back the curtain on the incredible database architecture that made all of that possible. This is the story of the system that truly connected the world. So, let me start with a question for you. Think about booking a flight from, say, New York to Paris, then jumping on a different airline to get to Dubai, and then booking a hotel and a rental car from two totally separate companies, all in one go. Right now, that sounds almost trivial, doesn't it? But there was a time, not so long ago, when that wasn't just hard, it was literally impossible. And that's because back in the late 80s, the world of travel was a bunch of powerful but totally disconnected islands. You had these amazing airline databases, like Sabre and Apollo, but they were regional champs. They were fantastic at managing flights in their own little corners of the world, but they just couldn't talk to each other on a global scale. All that vital data, flights, prices, availability, it was all stuck in separate digital silos. Now, this fragmentation was becoming a huge problem. The world was globalizing fast, and the travel industry was hitting a wall. It desperately needed a system that could actually keep up. And that pressure, well, it sparked an idea that would change everything: a single, truly global grid. The answer was something called the Global Distribution System, or GDS for short. And this wasn't just another database. Oh no, this was a totally revolutionary concept. The best way to think of it is like a universal translator and a giant central marketplace for the entire travel industry, all rolled into one massive worldwide computer network. So who were the architects of this new connected world? Well, three major players stepped up to solve this global puzzle. Over in Europe, you had Amadeus. In the US, a whole group of airlines, Delta, Northwest, TWA, they banded together to create WorldSpan. And then there was Galileo, which actually grew out of that older Apollo system to meet this new global challenge. And here is the really crucial point. These platforms were so much more than just booking tools. They became these huge, sprawling digital ecosystems. For the very first time, airlines, hotels, car rental companies, and travel agents everywhere were all looking at and working from the exact same synchronized pool of data. It was a total game changer. Okay, so getting everyone connected was a huge first step. But what did that connection actually let you do? What kind of new superpowers did this global database give the travel industry? Let's dive in. For a travel agent back then, this was like being handed a toolkit from the future. All of a sudden, they could book incredibly complex trips with multiple airlines in just a few seconds. They could see real-time prices and seat availability from anywhere in the world. And from a pure database point of view, wow. Just think about the engineering it took to standardize data from hundreds of different companies and keep inventories synced up across every single time zone on the planet. Absolutely incredible. The difference was just night and day. What used to take hours of painful work? We're talking international phone calls, waiting on telex messages, juggling different currencies and rules. All of that was crushed down into a single query that gave you an answer in seconds. The jump in efficiency was almost hard to believe. But of course, technology never, ever stands still. Right as the GDS was king of the world, this new thing called the public internet showed up, and it threatened to make these giant private networks obsolete. So they had a choice: adapt or become a dinosaur. How'd they handle it? Well, they didn't just adapt, they evolved and actually became the power source for the next wave. In the 90s, as the web was exploding, the GDS platforms started speaking new open languages like XML to share their data. By the 2000s, they were the invisible engines running the first big online travel agencies. And today, their core data and logic are served up through modern APIs, basically the plug sockets that let our phones and apps connect directly to all that power. And that brings us right here to today, because this piece of computing history we've been talking about, it's not sitting in a museum collecting dust. There's a pretty good chance it's in your pocket right now. And this, to me, is the most amazing part of the whole story. That fundamental database architecture, the core ideas figured out way back in the 1980s, is so solid, so effective, that it is still the backbone of global travel. When you search for a flight on your favorite app, you are, more often than not, sending a signal back through time to the direct descendants of these pioneering systems. So, in the end, the GDS was this invisible grid that took a broken, disconnected world and literally stitched it together with data. It completely redefined how we move, how we connect, and how we see our planet. And it leaves you with a pretty big question, doesn't it? What is the next great database challenge? What's the next invisible grid being built right now that's going to change our lives in ways we can't even begin to imagine?